Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Order Up, the final Order Cutoff show. Today we have some crazy, awesome comics to talk about. For all the comics that are on Final Order Cutoff this Monday, October 12th, we have an incredible guest from Ghost Machine and more. So stay tuned. You are going to love this week's Order Up. Hi everyone, I'm Mathias Lewis, and I'm here to talk to you about FOC, or Final Order Cutoff. It is the last chance that we, the comic retailers, have to finalize our orders for comics releasing roughly 3 to 6 weeks out from the Mondays we finalize our orders. We deal with this every Monday, but this is important to you, the consumer, because it is the perfect time to reach out to your local comic shop if you want any specific or guaranteed items. If you want the Jim Lee or Dan Mora covers of Justice League Unlimited, reach out to your local comic shop and let us know. If you want the new issue of Lilo and Stitch, this is the perfect time to tell us. Because as long as you can get us the orders before Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, that will give your local comic shop retailer enough time to finalize that order, adding in whatever it is you want, so they can guarantee when it releases, we have a copy set aside waiting for you. So, always reach out to your local comic shop before 6 p.m. on Mondays with the comics you want. The sooner, the better, to guarantee they're waiting for you. All right, and this week we're going to be talking about comics that are on Final Order Cutoff this Monday, October 12th. A lot of great continuing series, a lot of awesome collections, and a bunch of amazing covers. But if you want to see all of the comics that are on Final Order Cutoff this Monday, October 12th, we have 2 websites we recommend you checking. If you're after Marvel, IDW, Dark Horse, Distillery, Boom, etc., you're going to want to check out prhcomics.com. PRH is for Penguin Random House. They'll be the distributor for all those amazing things. When you go to that website, you'll see this screen here. You just scroll down a little bit, and you can see FOC, October 13th. Right there, you can click those. Now, I've been saying October 12th because we've been live multiple times, but I should have been saying the 13th. Clearly, my days are off. But don't worry, that's why these websites are perfect, because they're going to have all those details so you don't mess it up like I did. And if you're a fan of DC Comics, Image Comics, Oni, and many other publishers, you're not going to find them on PRH Comics. So for that, you're going to want to go to lunardistribution.com. There you'll see a website much like this, in fact, exactly this. And you can just scroll down a little bit to upcoming FOC. Make sure you're on the right date, October 13th, 2025. And you can see all of the comics that Lunar has available this FOC period. Now, one of the cool things that is on FOC this week is an amazing title, probably one of my favorite titles from Ghost Machine Publishing. Are you familiar with the title, Kyle?
Only in as much as I've read every issue, and their director of publishing or whatever her fancy title is keeps texting me about it, going, "Hey, have you read the new one yet? Hey, have you read the new one yet?" Yes, I read it, Danny.
So
she knows how excited I am for this interview, so she's been on my case about it.
So then I think we bring on our guest. He is a super talented artist who has done some of the best work of DC over the last 15 plus years. He did one of my favorite Aspen comics, Soulfire. It is Jason Fabok.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Doing all right. How are you doing, Jason?
I'm doing excellent on this. What is today? Friday? Friday, yeah. So I'm doing good. It's Canadian Thanksgiving weekend. So normally that means I just work all weekend. It's not as big of a deal in Canada as it is in the United States, but we're going to have some turkey and do some fun stuff with the kids. But I'm also trying to tackle a big double spread cover for Rook. And so I got to kind of balance both of those things throughout this weekend. But Friday's always good to get to and take a little downtime on the weekend.
There we go. Man, my first Thanksgiving as a Canadian, I'm up here in Canada, and now I'm being told it's not a big deal.
It's not like the States where they take off like 4 days, 5 days. They're off doing all kinds of stuff. And I remember when I was at DC, when the American Thanksgiving would come around, like you couldn't contact anybody at the office. Your writers were gone. Everybody was gone. And being in Canada, we were just like, well, it's just another American Thanksgiving for us, just another weekend in November, right? And but you're kind of a Canadian Thanksgiving, you're kind of expected to work. It's not like you don't get that same kind of time as off as everybody else. So sometimes during the American Thanksgiving, we'll do something special that weekend, because I know that there's nobody to really. You're not going to work with anybody that week. They're all on vacation doing something, for watching football and doing all that good stuff.
So the secret is Canadians get a double Thanksgiving, whether it was intended by the government or not.
And another thing too is New York Comic Con is always on Canadian Thanksgiving weekend. So the last two I went, and so I missed it. I missed the family stuff here. But this year with Ghost Machine, we decided we were going to skip this year, maybe do it next year. But it seems to always fall on that weekend. And so I'm usually gone the Thanksgiving weekend with the family. So, but it's just funny how I wonder if they plan it like that, knowing that Canadians will take that time off and come over. But yeah, kind of an interesting little thing there.
There it is. I love this. See, one of my favorite things about doing a live show is we get these fun facts on there. But I know people are tuning in because yours is one of the most beloved Ghost Machine books. So in case anyone isn't already familiar with every single moment and every single beat of Rook, can you give us the pitch of Rook Exodus?
Well, I think one of the easiest way to pitch it is a group of characters called Wardens have animal masks that allow them to control different species of animals, and they're fighting for the future of this world, this planet called Exodus that they're all trapped on. Our lead character, his name is Rook. He is the warden of crows, ravens, and rooks, and he uses them to kind of scout and as a weapon sometimes. He's a scavenger himself, and when we first meet him, he's trying to actually escape off this planet by building a rocket ship to get him off the planet. The world is dying. It was once a utopia, and the world engine failed, and so the better world, who are the ones who kind of built this planet from the bottom up, they all left and took everybody with them, and the only people kind of left behind are survivors who are trying to kind of make a new life for themselves. But in the back of their mind, they know that this world is perishing. And so Rook makes a decision in our first arc to fight for the planet and for its future. He finds things on it that inspire him to save it, to see that it's worth saving the people on the planet. And so he and another character called Direwolf, she's the warden of wolves. They kind of team up, and as we've been going through these different issues, they have found some of the other surviving wardens on this planet. They've met some villains, like the villainous Ursa from the first arc. He's this big, like 9 foot tall, giant who has a robotic arm, and he has a bear helmet, and he's the warden of bears. And one of the fun things about the planet too is we get to play around a little with biology, and we imagine that this planet is almost like in a state where animals can grow larger and bigger. And so you got, huge bears, 20-foot tall bears, and giant snapping turtles living in the lakes. And it just makes for a little bit more creativity, a little more fun, and some awesome visuals. And so the book is really just the struggle of these characters trying to fight for the future of this planet. It's kind of like a Saturday morning cartoon in a lot of ways. It harkens back to my love of Star Wars, Mad Max, G.I. Joe, a little bit of He-Man in there as well. And it's just, it's kind of a fun book. And I think a lot of people have really clicked with it because of the animal aspect. Everybody's kind of got their own favorite animal. And so, I think as human beings, we see animals as avatars of our own personality in a lot of ways. And so we connect with different animals. We love our pets, our dogs and our cats and all this kind of stuff. And so a lot of people have really connected with this book, and it's been exciting to see people embrace this idea and really get into it and want to see it expand more and more. And we're having a lot of fun creating this thing. It's a lot of work, a lot of hours. It's the hardest thing I've ever worked on in my career, but it's also a labor of love, and it's something I'm hoping to do for a very long time.
Well, and on that note, I want to point out that this feels so different from anything else you've done in your incredible career. This is very different from the stories of Gotham, Batman, Jokers. It is a leap away from the bright and happy Soulfire. So what led to you and Jeff working on this book and developing it to be like this? Is this more the desire of what you wanted to draw, or is this more of adapting to a story that Jeff had?
So Rook as a concept goes back actually quite a few years. I've always had this character kind of bumping around in my head. This guy with a bird mask and a trench coat, and it goes back. Some of my initial designs go back to when I was in college, and some of the oldest ones I have go back to 2012, I believe, which was a couple of years after I started in the industry. Excuse me. And but I had this design for this character, and he was called Rook. But at one point he was like a character who was like in more of like a film noir setting, and then another time it was like a fantasy setting, and then I kind of started to play around with this idea of like science fiction, and like this whole idea of like Star Wars meets Mad Max, and I thought that would be a really cool kind of setting, but I didn't really have a story, and so I didn't really know what he was. Was he going to just be this mercenary or a bounty hunter or what? And after Three Jokers, we finished Batman Three Jokers, and we were kind of tossing around some ideas of what we wanted to do next. I really started to get this. I really started to feel like we need more new ideas in pop culture, comics, all this kind of stuff. I kind of, it was like we were asking ourselves, well, what do we want to do? Well, do we want to do another Batman story, or do we want to do a Superman story? And it's like all those things have been done and been around forever. These characters, and it's a great honor to work on these characters and to be able to have the ability to put something into that legend, into that legacy of Batman or Swamp Thing or Superman or whatever. But I really started to almost like a conviction, like I feel like we need to make something new, and it started to really become it was like a bug. It was like in my head all through Three Jokers. I was really thinking about it, and I knew that one day in my career I wanted to split off and do something creator owned, but I didn't really know what. But this character was there, and so Jeff was doing Geiger, and that was becoming a hit, and was really enjoying it, creating something new. And so I said, look, we had thrown out, do we want to go and do Spider-Man or X-Men or something like that? And I just said, look, I think I really feel a calling, like I'm meant to do something with this character that's been kind of lingering there for years. And so I pitched him something, and he kind of went, "Yeah, I don't." He's like, "I don't know." He's like, "What?" He's like, "Let me think about this." And one of the things that really sparked a lot of the creativity was he said, "Well, how come he wears a bird mask?" And I said, "Well, I just said I think it looks kind of cool. Like it's just that like it's kind of like a throwback to like Batman being a Batman, or like your classic hero named after some sort of a creature. It's a classic superhero kind of trope." But he said, "Well, what if the helmet can control birds?" And so then all of a sudden we were like, "Oh my gosh, like what if we have all these different animal characters and they can all control these different species of animals?" And our um our creativity, like it will hold, there's like no bounds to the amount of characters we could have. Like now we could create so many cool, unique characters just because of this one simple thought of these characters wearing a helmet that allows them to control that animal species. And then Jeff went away that night. He came back the next day and he pitched me this whole idea about the planet, it's this dying world and all this kind of stuff. And it just really excited me. And the more that we started to talk about it, the more I really felt we figured out something special here, because your whole life, I think as a creator, you're searching for that thing, that unique thing, that unique idea that you could maybe see becoming bigger than you or growing into something much, much larger. And that has the potential to grow into something huge, and lots of ideas and lots of stories. That's the other thing too. Sometimes you can think of an idea, but you sit there and you go, "Well, I can really only do like 6 issues of this, and then that's it." There's not much more after that. But this, I mean, Jeff and I, we had a phone call the other day where we were just jamming out ideas. And I think we could easily do over 100 issues of this thing. We had so many cool plots and crazy things that would happen to this world and like characters. And we know what the ending of the whole thing would be now. And like, and I'm throwing out all these different ideas, and some are strange and different, and some are really like, but we were just so excited about it. And that's sometimes half the battle is again just seeing the potential that you could come up with all these great ideas out of this. And so yeah, that's kind of the genesis of it. And then there was Rook and Direwolf and Ursa and another character called Stag, which is now appearing in issue 7. These characters are all kind of the first ones that just happened, and we made a list of a whole bunch of different characters that we wanted. And so slowly we've been introducing some of them as we go along. We can't overload it too much, but really you're trying to, when you're telling a story, you're trying to, Ghost Machine, one of our philosophies is we want character-driven stories. And so that means you lock in on a character, and our hero is Rook. You lock in on him, and you tell this story about this character going on the hero's journey. And with them are other characters, Direwolf, and we're going to get into her past and her history and all this kind of stuff. And same with Stag. And it's again, it's just a lot of fun to jam on this. And I really feel like this is a book that I could probably do for the next 20 years and end my career building up a really epic saga. Something that would could stand the test of time. So that really excites me as a creator.
And it's such a unique story to hear that this started out with the costume design, because I think, as people in the comments are already saying, this is such a beloved story, and it is so amazing it seemed very well thought out, obviously, that it's an interesting concept that when you first designed Rook, it was before you had a concept that this was going to take place on an alien planet, or that he was going to control birds with this helmet, that this was more of the costume design that you had. So
one, I was just going to say really quickly, as an artist, everything is visual for me, and that's one thing I've learned working with Jeff. Jeff, he's got the mind of a writer, and a mind of a writer is different than the mind of an artist. I'm looking at the visual, and I'm thinking about visual spectacle. I want the characters to look cool. I want to have fun drawing them, and Jeff comes at it from the emotional angle more than anything. He's always asking, like, I'll pitch something and he says, yeah, but where does that take our character emotionally? How does that build that character? What is he going to learn through that? And so that makes you think. He thinks differently than me as an artist. For me, a lot of it is the visual, and that's what got me excited about comics. Like, I don't remember anything much about Batman Hush, but I sure remember the visuals of Jim Lee. Like, it hit a chord in me when I read that book. It made me want to become a comic artist because it just, like, the visual was so powerful to me. And so that's why it's like I'm very confident in my ability to design the characters. And I always say to Jeff, your job is to make these people real. Like, make Dire Wolf a real person. I'll give you the cool visuals, but make her a real person, because that's not my strength as an artist. I can tell the story, but for me, it's the visual. So if the visual gets me excited, then I'm in. You've got me, you know.
And I have to say, I think Rook Exodus is visually one of the best books Ghost Machine is putting out. I'm stunned you guys aren't doing it at 11 by 17 treasury size, scale, so we can take in all of the details you put in your art. But someone had made a comment. Obviously, we've wrapped the first arc and we're in the second arc right now. In fact, if you haven't for any reason read the opening arc of Rook Exodus, you can go grab the trade paperback right now. It released back in April of this year. But it was commented how, let me read the exact one. Mr. Note put out that Rook has been my favorite and what I've been most excited for each month. The long break was miserable. There was quite a gap between the first arc and the second arc. And I imagine that comes with the incredible detail that you bring to the art process and all these character designs. Can you talk a little bit about what you're doing in between those arcs? Because I imagine you're not taking a break.
No. So there's a whole bunch of there's a multitude of answers for that question. One of the reasons why I wanted to do the DC grind of, you got to do monthly books, you got to be doing this, and like, it was tough for a lot of years there. I was working 7 days a week, because I want to draw artwork that's very detailed, and that means I got to put a lot of time into it, because I'm not necessarily a fast artist. But in order to draw 5 pages a week, I had to work 7 days a week, start at 6 a.m., maybe take a 10-minute lunch break, and work till 7, 8, 9 at night. And I did that for years. And eventually it started to wear on my wife. And then I started having children, and I'm sitting there going, like, I can't sustain this, nor do I want to. I'm starting to lose my love of what I'm doing, because I'm chained to my desk in my basement all the time. And because I'm also a bit of a perfectionist, and it's like I can't leave it alone until it's exactly how I want it, And so when this opportunity came along and Jeff and I were really talking about Rook, I said, let's do it, but with the caveat that, if it takes me 3 months to draw an issue, it takes me 3 months to draw an issue, because I'm juggling being a dad. I'm coaching hockey with my kids on the weekend. I'm taking them to skating. My daughter's in dance. We have family things. I want to be more, I want to be there with my kids and be a present dad. My wife needs me. She needs me helping around the house. She needs me doing things. So it's really trying to find a balance between doing the best work you possibly can do, but also realizing that this is my job. I like it. I love it, but it's not the be all and end all. And I've learned, you, like, your family, your kids, these are the things that are the most important in life. And, there's been a couple tragedies that have happened to some close families that we know, where they've lost loved ones recently. And it's really affected me, because it's really made me reflect upon what is most important in life. The other side of it is that the books take a long time to draw. It takes a long, it's easy to, Jeff will say in the script, we meet this new character and they have this kind of helmet. Well, sometimes it takes me a week to come up with the design, because I have to sit down, I have to really think about it. I don't want to just throw something out. I want to really think about it. Or if he describes a setting, like I remember there was in the first arc, he describes they come to this city in the swamp called the Oasis, and it was literally one sentence. They come across a city built on a waterfall. Well, what does that look like? What does that look like with the design philosophy that I've come up with? What does it look like in this science fiction universe? Who's living in that town? Would they design their buildings a specific way? What's floating around in the water? Well, it was giant turtles they mentioned. So, okay, well, what are the people fishing off the giant turtles? Or, there's all these questions that arise. And so some of this stuff, it might, if the way I've always kind of compared it to is if Jeff says, in Three Jokers, there was a scene that took place at the Gotham Aquarium. Well, I came up with that really quick because I know what the Gotham Aquarium looks like, because I know what Gotham generally looks like. And so you can slap together some shapes and get something kind of cool, and it works, and off you go. But with this, everything needs to be thought out, and I've realized that you can't just nothing's a throwaway, because Jeff likes to refer back to those things. So you don't just want to rush through these things and these character designs and stuff like that, because you're going to have to redraw them at one day, and you want to make sure you're happy with it. So there's the family side of things. There's the time it takes to draw it, and there was a huge gap in between, and there will be more gaps too. I'm not going to say that there isn't going to be, because I've kind of decided I'm going to draw 6 issues a year, and that's as much as I can pretty much do. It takes me about 2 months to draw one of these books, if not a little more. And so 6 issues a year, I feel I'm happy with that. We do have some plans that we are in the midst of right now, where we would like to come up with another something to come out in between the story arcs, so that it keeps the world of Exodus alive and these characters alive. And we've really come to realize there's a lot of potential with these characters, so we can do some spin-off kind of stuff. But that's being kind of formed, and we're thinking about that and what can we do with it, and so we are looking at things like that. But I just kind of, as a creator, I kind of came to a point where I realized that everything that you put out is forever, and I don't want to rush through it anymore. I want to give my family that leeway where if something comes up, I can say, okay, I'm putting down the pencil today. Let's go do this instead. And I will get back to that on Monday, because it's really not the be all and end all. And I know the fans get where we live in a world where everything is very instant gratification, especially with like Netflix and all this kind of stuff. So people want things right away. But I look at Rook as more of a long-term investment for myself, especially. I'm excited to see where the book is at in year 4, year 5, year 6, as we build up a library of these stories. That's when people, I really feel like the book is going to catch a lot of fire in year 4, 5, 6. And we're going to have a big chunk of this epic with all of these characters, but it takes time to build that. And I appreciate the fact that people want to read the stories, and they can't wait to get the next one. Like, that makes me as a creator feel really good. But at the same time, I don't want to live to the standards that are the mainstream DC Marvel standards. I now own my own company with Ghost Machine. I own part of it, and part of that is I can set my own my own rules for what I want to do, and set my priorities. And it doesn't mean that I still work. I try to take my weekends off, but I still find myself going downstairs and working on stuff. So I'm never taking a day off, really. I'm working on stuff, whether it be covers for the next part or whatever. designs. There's always design stuff because we talk about new characters, and so then I'll sometimes sit there and go, "Oh, I gotta design this character and come up with an idea." So long answer, but there's many different things in there, and I want to deliver the best book I can, and I want to do it in a way where I can keep my sanity. There's a physical health kind of thing that's in there as well, where I can't physically draw the hours that I used to. That's something that kind of happened during Three Jokers with my arm, and it takes I go to a lot of different appointments and a lot of different things. I'm exercising regularly to keep my ability up too. There's a whole bunch of different things, but what I can promise is that when the next 6 issues is out, you're gonna have a really awesome story, and hopefully you won't have to wait as long between issue 12 and issue 13. But we are coming up with ideas and plans to help expand this and keep the book alive in ways that are outside of the norm of a monthly comic book.
Well, I think that says a lot about you and your character, which is amazing. But then it also explains so much of why everyone loves this book, because, hearing 2 months to draw it, like, you see that. There's no questioning that. Like, every panel on every page is beyond stunning artwork. And that, I know, is one of the big things even the comments are all saying of why they love Rook. So on that, let's talk about this second arc. 2 weeks ago, issue number 7 dropped. We got the beginning of arc 2 of Rook Exodus. Can you tell us a little bit about this second arc, our threat to Rook and the rest of those on Exodus, and what we can be expecting on issue number 8, which is FOCing this Monday?
Yeah, so in the first arc, it was big, it was grand. We got to explore this planet and a big threat with Ursa and his army and all this stuff. And it was kind of an introduction to this world and these characters, and got at the heart of who Rook was and the kind of hero that he was destined to become. With the second arc, it's a little more tighter, a little more contained. It actually takes a lot of cues from like classic science fiction horror, like the original Alien movie, or even Aliens, where these characters are kind of put in a situation where they are in a tight enclosed space and they have to survive. And so our draw with this one is that Rook and Direwolf are searching for the world engine. They need to restart this world engine. The planet's dying quickly, and they need to figure this out, or else everybody on the planet is doomed. And the person that they need to find that could potentially help them restart the world engine is Direwolf's father. He's known as Bloodhound. He's the warden of wild dogs. And there's one little problem, is that he's been driven insane or almost rabid by the helmet itself. Jeff came up with this awesome concept in issue 1 of Rook called instinct influence, where the user, the helmet, the warden who's using the helmet, they can control the animals, and they can give commands and all this kind of thing. But the animals, their instincts also come back into the warden. And so the warden has to be careful, because certain animals are a lot more dangerous. And Rook can feel the instincts of his birds. Direwolf can feel the instincts of the wolves. And if you're not careful, this instinct can take over and pretty much drive you mad. And so that's what's happened with Bloodhound. He's an engineer. He may have the secrets of how they can get the world engine started again. He's also being hunted by another character called Stag, who is this the warden of deer. And he's one of those characters I came up with right from the beginning, where I just had this vision of this guy with a red deer skull looking helmet, and he's like a samurai Ronin ninja guy with swords and bows and arrows and all dressed in black. And he's hunting for Bloodhound, and we'll learn a little bit about that in issue 8. And we also have another villain that we see and tease at the end of issue 7. which is Arachnid, who's the warden of spiders. And he and his I don't even know what you would call a group of spiders, a swarm of spiders. They are living in the world engine itself. They made that their home. And so Rook and these characters are going to be running around through these tunnels in this science fiction-y kind of area, being attacked by swarms and hordes of spiders. And I personally hate spiders. Like in Southern Ontario, where I'm from, I don't know why, but there's so many spiders all over the place. Like we have to get spray our house down for spiders. Like they're huge suckers too. Like they're all over the place. And I drawing this the last few issues where I've been drawing like swarms of spiders attacking. Like I've been having, even at night, like night terrors where I'm having dreams of being swarmed by spiders all over my bed and stuff. Like I hate spiders. They freak me out, but I'm trying to channel that into the book itself. and it's kind of an interesting thing, but the Arachnid character too, he's got a cool design because we were really talking about it. What do we want to do with it? And it's like, I don't want to do Dr. Octopus and everybody knows who Spider-Man is. And I said, well, what if he's like this guy who's like kind of put himself into this, built this or redesigned some sort of military tech that resembles a spider. And so he carries himself around in this giant mech spider suit with machine guns and all kinds of weaponry. And he's really creepy. We're going to see some of that in issue 9. And he's got a great twist to him as well. And so it's a lot of fun. So, like I said, it's a little more character-based, a little more horror-based. But that just shows the kind of stories we can do. Like we can do the big, epic, grandiose, world-traveling stories, but we can also just lock in on something small and creepy and really tell a story there as well, and kind of hit those science fiction tropes in their own way. So yeah, that's kind of where we are. Issue 8 is another big action-packed issue. If you don't like spiders, sorry, but there's a lot of them in issue 8. Read the book really far back or something. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's something different to draw. You had kind of touched upon it, like this is a different kind of art style, like different style of book than what I've done before. It takes a lot of time to draw this stuff, mostly because I'm not drawing. When you're drawing Superman and Batman, you're drawing essentially just a human anatomy with some lines on it that make it look like they're wearing clothes. Like you can kick stuff out pretty quick because you learn kind of secrets and tricks on how to do those things. Well, with this, every character's in different gear and pants and jackets and military tech bodysuits and all. It takes forever to draw these things because it's just so new and different. But it makes for a pretty cool looking product in the end, and cool looking book with great looking characters. And Brad Anderson, my colorist, comes in there and he takes my line work off to a whole nother level. And he just, he's exploring all kinds of different color palettes with this. Just the book looks awesome. It's a lot of fun.
Absolutely. I mean, that is the universal. Everyone agrees the book looks awesome. So this Monday, October 13th, we finalize the orders for issue number 8. It drops November 5th. Issue 9 drops December 3rd. I mean, this is coming back to back, and I'm glad. It's exciting. It is an amazing one that I know all of my customers are counting down the days between issues and loving it. And I imagine that the fan demand is there for you as well.
Yeah, it's encouraging. It really is. I love getting comments where people say, "Hey, can you do a character based on, this animal? This is my favorite animal. Can you do a character?" And it's like, yeah, I would love to. It has to flow with the story and where we're going with it. But I think eventually we will get quite a lot of interesting and new characters out there. Yeah, and I would just ask for patience. There's going to be disruptions. I'll tell you that right now. There's going to be late books coming out late or skip months or whatever, and there will be delay, or not delays, but like in between arcs, there will be time because it takes me time to build this. It takes Jeff time to write this too. I have to say, he has expressed to me that this book is actually one of the harder books that he's ever written. And it's because there is so many different moving parts and lore and character. Geiger's very kind of more straightforward with where it's at. Same with Redcoat. Redcoat, you can lock it within history and kind of pull from different historical events, and that locks him into it. And then he goes. This, we're creating something from scratch. All of the lore, all of the character stuff, what's happening with the world, what's the history with this planet, how do we tease this next story arc that's coming up, or this idea or that idea, how do we get from this point to where we want to go in like issue 20, 25. There's a whole bunch of different things in there, and it's a lot of moving parts, but I believe that people's patience will be paid. We'll be able to really get something out there. It's just going to take time, but same thing kind of happened with Three Jokers. When's the book coming out? And then when it came out, it sold huge, and it's still selling big for us. And nobody remembers the fact that it took time for the book to get out. It's just because it's out. But it's going to be the same thing with this. I think that as we expand and as we grow, we're gonna put out some really great work, and I want the work to be the best that it can possibly be. If I'm going to work on this for the rest of my career, I want to make it something really special that will stand the test of time and could be made into movie, TV, whatever. People are always asking for toys, and it's like, yeah, that would be great, but we got to earn that. We got to get there. It's going to take some time to get there and get the audience, but I think, again, like I said, year 4, year 5, I think that'll be when things really kind of hit with this. So, but it just takes time, and I want to deliver the best product I can for the reader.
I love it, and I think everyone else does too. Patience is paid off, as issue 7 showed. So, I want to thank you so much for joining us. Remind everyone, if you are loving Rook, issue number 8 on order this Monday. You can buy the trade paperback at your local comic shop if you don't already have it, because it is worth every page, as well as incredible books like Batman 3 Jokers, the New 52 Detective Comics, Soulfire, always one of my favorites. Jason, you always have a ton of great art. If anybody wants to follow you online to learn more about upcoming issues of Rook Exodus and the like, where can they track you down?
The main place I post a lot is on Instagram. I have I think it's just J Fabok, the letter J and then Fabok, Fabok. If you look up my name, you'll find me there. I have a Facebook artist page too, where I like to post and talk a little bit about what's going on. There's also reminder. There's also the deluxe hardcover version of the first story arc. So volume 1, I believe that comes out at the end of October, and it's really special. I don't have a copy of it, but like these are the ones we've been doing with Ghost Machine. So this is like the Junkyard Joe one, and it's bigger print. And the cool thing about the Rook one is that the back of it is filled with a ton of sort of behind the scenes making of stuff, because I had all these sketches and designs from all these years playing around with this. So it was fun to kind of put that in there. And then there's also an interview with me where I kind of go over my thoughts, design thoughts and all this kind of stuff. It's what a lot of people have been asking for that. They wanted that with the soft cover, but we just didn't have the space to do that. But with the deluxe hardcover, we get the opportunity to do that with the space. So you can, contact your local shop, order that book. It's huge. It's beautiful. It's going to be awesome. Like, the Image has done an incredible job with these deluxe hardcovers. I can't wait to get my hands on this, because this is the one I've really been looking forward too. I've been like looking through the Geiger and the Junkyard Joe one, so I can't wait to add this one to that collection. And we got Redcoat coming out in that size too, and Rockefellers and everything. So, but that's really special. So if you want to get that, pick up the floppies 7, 8, 9. But if you haven't read this first, maybe get this the deluxe hardcover. Read through that first, and then you'll be able to jump into 7, 8, 9, and just off you go with the series. But yeah, that's coming out too.
Yeah, in fact, it is perfectly timed. The hardcover releases October 29th, a week before issue number 8.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, it's beautiful. The Image does incredible job on these deluxe books. They're kind of like similar to the Absolute ones that DC does, those big hardcover ones. It's a similar size, I believe. So you could get a nicer look at the artwork. You had mentioned doing like an 11 by 17 like treasure, like that would be really cool. I know that they did that with Skinbreaker with David Finch's art.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to hunt one down from my local shop. He said that they sold out, but he's going to see if he can get me one.
Second printing is on FOC this week.
Yeah, I think he's going to grab me one of those because I want that, because I know Dave was working on extra big paper. I remember he lives close to me, so I went over to his house at one point there when he was working. This was years ago when he first started working on it, and he was working on extra large boards. And he said by the end he was cursing himself because he was drawing everything on these double-sized boards. And he's like, I should have just done it on a normal comic page. But the detail and everything you can get in there is incredible. So, but yeah, it would be cool to do a Rook version like that. But we'll see, maybe in the future at some point.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Jason. Remind everyone to go out, get your orders in on Rook Exodus issue number 8 and issue number 9, issue 8 on FOC this Monday. It's always a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. So let's talk about some more comics on FOC this week. And I think we dive directly into Penguin Random House. Kyle, what are your thoughts? Do we even bother with a commercial break or go straight to PRH?
Let's go straight to PRH.
All right. So these are comics that are on Final Order Cutoff this Monday, October 13th. And we have a ton of great ones. A lot of wonderful continuing series, which shouldn't be too shocking to anyone who walked into their comic shop this week. Because this past Wednesday, there were a ton of big new number 1s. And as such, we're finalizing orders for these issue number 2s and second story arcs. So we're going to start off. I have to point out the 100 ghost stories that will lead to my own death, because that is a cover I did not need on my screen. It is so haunting. It is already giving me nightmares, and I haven't even opened the book up yet. But we have a lot of wonderful continuing books. We're seeing the Inhyuk Lee Streetverse variants that are coming out through FOC this month for November release. I love seeing all of our Marvel heroes looking like they're just preparing for a cold fall or winter in downtown New York City. But all new Spider-Gwen. Ghost Spider gets to see the first of these Inhyuk Lee covers that we're going through. Yet it's going to be a manga that becomes my very first topic. I mean, I should point out Amazing Spider-Man is going to bring back the Spider Slayers and has a number of wonderful variants, including Liber Mayhew's Amazing Visions, obviously giving a nod to Amazing Spider-Man 50 there. But the first title is not going to be a Marvel title. I got to talk about Boss Bitch Baby. Yes, an odd title for a webtoon about a young man who finds himself in debt to an ex and basically becomes his, I guess, sugar baby. Would that be the term you would use for that?
I don't know. I'm made uncomfortable by this whole premise.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept, but the big thing I have to point out, not for kids. Definitely not for kids. I know that Alec Baldwin did that great Boss Baby movie series. This is not it. But nevertheless, I know this is one that a lot of customers have been talking about with excitement. This is a very popular and heavily viewed webtoon series, so something to potentially keep your mind on if you're looking for a unique, perhaps more LGBTQ positive 50 Shades of Grey meets Slice of Life. Then, getting you over at Marvel, look more at these wonderful Iñak Lee Streetverse covers. As we're preparing for that Canadian Thanksgiving, let's talk about the Canadian writing Captain America, Chip Zdarsky, continuing on and wrapping up his first story arc on Captain America. So that will also be an exciting one to join, with a number of great covers available. We have, again, a million continuing series. Deluge from Ignition continuing onward. Lots of manga, lots of comics, and why we recommend you take a look at PRH Comics. But one that is not just continuing, it's wrapping up, is Godzilla Destroys the Marvel Universe. Yes, the heroes finally got a giant mech to take on the giant kaiju in this battle for New York and Marvel as a whole. Gary Dugan has been hitting this out of the park with its first 4 issues. I cannot wait to not only get my orders in on issue 5, which has a bevy of great covers, but to hold it in my hands and properly read this. Like, have you had the chance to, I know you've been really busy with Poe Fest out there in Maryland, but have you had the chance to read any of the Godzilla Destroying the Marvel Universe?
No, I have a Godzilla problem.
It's an addiction.
No, I don't care about the people. I only want there to be giant dinosaurs. I only want there to be kaiju. So, like, if at any point Godzilla interacts with Spider-Man, I'm out. Godzilla only interacted with Giant Man, I'd be good.
So you just don't have time for all the little people, eh?
Right. I don't have time for Godzilla could step on you and kill you. Let's move on.
Well, that's why we got a giant mech just for you, Kyle. Just for you.
That's what I'm saying.
All right. But if you want something else that is big, green, and smashes everything.
I will say this, though. Jerry Duggan and Javier Garrón, the art on this is phenomenal. The writing has got to be great. Like, Jerry Duggan tells a great story with this. I haven't been reading it. I'm not caught up, but it is on my list. It is on my stack of stuff to read later.
All right. So maybe this giant green smashing Hulk will get your attention, because Ryan North is telling us the tale we all want with Hulk. I'll tell you, Philip Kennedy Johnson's Incredible Hulk and the upcoming Infernal Hulk, it's not the stories we wanted, it's the stories we need, and they're incredible. But Ryan North is giving me, and more so what my kid wants with Hulk. Hulk smash everything. I love big, dumb Hulk stories of just beat 'em up, bad grammar, giant green gamma radiated flesh. So that is what we're getting with Hulk Smash Everything, a new mini-series from Ryan North and Vincenzo Carratù. I'm hyped. I'm all in. Thoughts, Kyle?
No, you pretty much said it all on that one. I mean, it's hard not to love Hulk Smash Everything. And again, it's one of those, like you said, it's something that all ages can read. It's got a little something for everyone. So I don't. What more is there to say about it? What more is there to say about the Hulk, right? Like, the Hulk. Did I lose Matthias, or did Matthias lose me? All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We're going to see if we can't get this fixed, and we'll be right back after this.
Sure, comic books are beautiful, but underneath, there's something more authentic and exciting. The original art. See the pencils, the lines, the shading, as if you were there in the studio watching the artist work. Getting a peek at comics' backstage is easy with the original art experience.
All right, Friday night, guys. Thank you for being here. To be doing anything, the fact that you're here means the world to me.
Nick's pieces are always value priced with your budget in mind, for the beginning collector to the veteran.
And this is gorgeous. You got Aquaman and Mira.
Join the original art experience with Nick and our friendly crew of regulars, even if it's just to enjoy the art. Fridays at 7. It's all part of the experience.
According to a statistic that I just made up, people spend 4 hours a day changing the television channel. People who watch The Experience don't do that. Save yourself a ton of time by tuning into The Experience and enjoying our new original programming 7 days a week. And then tell your friends. Think about the money they could save on batteries in the remote alone just by tuning into The Experience. Find out more by scanning the QR code below. We know you probably get a lot of emails, but could you please make sure to sign up for our mailing list? We don't send a lot of emails, and we try not to bother you. We just want to give you the best information about all the cool stuff that's going on around here. Sign up on our website, theexplive.com.
And I'm back. So I guess I got hit by some cosmic maple radiation up here in Canada and lost connection for a little bit. Always the fun of being live. But Kyle, did you talk up Hulk smash everything?
I did.
Oh, nothing like grammatically incorrect, gamma radiated beat 'em up books. So I think from that point, we got to go bounce over to what's happening across the Pacific in Japan with the Magnificent Bastard. Kyle, did you ever read Fist of the North Star, the previous incredible manga by Tetsuo Hara?
Sorry, you just asked me a question. I'm dealing with a technical issue. Yeah, absolutely. Who didn't read Fist of the North Star?
Well, then if you love Fist of the North Star, you're going to love The Legend of Keiji, the Magnificent Bastard. It's once again Tetsuo Hara, which you can see that artwork just screams Fist of the North Star meets samurai and has basis on an actual samurai from Japanese history. But this is a complete over-the-top and amazing manga. Everything you loved in Fist of the North Star with samurai. That's it. I think this is going to be a phenomenal one. We're getting new hardcover editions on this from Kodansha. So, I mean, not only is it a beautiful, thick hardcover, it's only $30. Is one of the best price points you're going to get for hardcover manga in this new era where we're getting so many hardcover manga. So, I am all for this. Meanwhile, issue number 2 of Marian Heretic. I hope all of you who watched our interview with Teenie Howard went out and pre-ordered this at your shop, and I hope you all picked up the issue earlier this week on Wednesday. It was a phenomenal first run. Issue number 2 is on FOC this Monday, and it only gets better. I had to show off this incredible Miguel Mercado cover, doing that hilarious nod to the spirit of Halloween costumes. So you can dress up like your own Marian Heretic right there. But nevertheless, Teenie has such an amazing universe she has developed in here. And while there are so many great titles that are continuing series on PRH this week, many of them I'm showing off right here and now, Marian Heretic is one that I really think needs the push of you going to your local comic shop and reminding them, this is an awesome book. This is the next Something That's Killing the Children, and you do not want to miss a beat on this. Issue number 2s always notoriously get underordered because we go big on number 1. It can always sell. You can always sell a number 1, but then stores cut back on number 2. Don't let your store cut back. Make sure that you have a number 2 waiting for you on release because you placed an order with your local comic shop prior to final order cutoff. And Marion Heretic is one to do that with. As for one that I think needs no introduction because it's coming up on its final issue, drawing an extraordinary amount of attention from Marvel fans across the board, we run to the end of the next big event, One World Under Doom. It's the big finale for One World Under Doom. Once again, Ryan North, he loves his green, characters, is going to bring an end to the reign of Doom. Not only as the leader of the world, but as the Sorcerer Supreme. This is going to be a huge issue. All these covers look amazingly frightful, but it makes you really wonder what is going to happen in these final issues. I am beyond excited about this. I think many of you are, as we are all also preparing for the big Robert Downey Jr. Doom reveal in the upcoming Avengers film. So this should be really, really awesome. There are notably multiple classified covers, which leads me to believe there's some big, big story drops in this issue, and they're definitely worth the attention of getting your orders in if you want them, because as stores, we don't know what the cover looks like. Sometimes that leads us to not order as many as we should, and when we get to see those covers on release day, everyone flips out and wants them. So please pay attention to Kevin Wada's spoiler variant and Martin Coccolo's foreshadow variant, because that will likely lead to perhaps whoever the next Sorcerer Supreme of the Marvel Universe is. Any theories on that, Kyle?
Yeah, I think it's me.
You think it's who?
I think I'm the new Sorcerer Supreme.
It would make a lot of sense. I mean, I feel you have had an eye on the Eye of Agamotto.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. The Eye of Agamotto. I didn't even know it was the Eye of Agamotto anymore. That's how fried my brain is at the moment. But no, listen, taking it off Doom and putting it on somebody else is good. I'm glad for the end of the event. I'm upset that we're already into another event. But I'm anxious to see how this one ends and where it winds up.
Yeah. So another one that I really, really want to point out for our younger readers and parents out there, Percy Jackson Season 2 coming to Disney Plus of Percy Jackson and the Olympians. They are therefore re-releasing the graphic novels of Percy Jackson and the Olympians, The Sea Monsters. Volume 1 and Volume 2 are getting re-released. Now, we've had the writer of these graphic novels as a guest here. And no, it's not Rick Riordan. It's Robert Venditti. Yes, the same man who is doing Ordained, Planet Death, and Survive is the man who did Percy Jackson and the Olympians graphic novels. And they are incredible. I have given them to nephews. I have my son reading the first one right now. And it is so nice that I can get this in the hands of customers who are loving the films, loving the Disney Plus series, and loving the prose novels, because they have been hard to stock for quite some time. So
This is one of those titles that missed me, but so many people I know are so in love with. So it's an easy one to pick up for, again, the people in your life as a gift, as an introduction, that kind of thing.
no. And I mean, I'm not going to lie. Well, they were never things that I purchased intending it for it to be me. They were, like I said, things I gave to my nephews, my son. I'm not going to lie. I read it with my son and I love it. Robert nailed it. Rick Riordan, I'm certain, who was the original creator of Percy Jackson and all that. He knows how to write a great story, and it's exciting. It is fun Greek mythology with modern settings. Now, one that I think me and Kyle will both be fully supporting is the return to the Dogma storyline of the View Askew universe, as Quick Stops and Kevin Smith, now that Kevin Smith has the rights back and everything for Dogma. He's been doing that big anniversary tour. And in the new Quick Stops issue number 3, we get the return of the Metatron and the Buddy Christ. As Buddy Christ is stolen, and only 2 heroes of the View Askewverse can get him back if they're not busy at a convention in Chicago right now.
Right. So first off, if you're into the View Askewniverse and you're looking for announcements, be watching, because this weekend is Chronicon and literally everyone is there. The fact that I'm not there is a tribute only to the fact that I am on the other side of the country and stuck. Anyway, but yes. So Kev has Dogma back. He's been doing the tour. I believe that they're working on a streaming deal to bring it back. And to be expanding that mythos at this point finally happens. And oh, by the way, the person who has kept it from us for so long doesn't get anything out of this deal. So that's pretty nice. Yeah. You've got Alan Rickman there on the cover as the Metatron. You've got Jay and Silent Bob on there, Snoochie Boochies. And you got Buddy Christ, who there are 2 people who can't be in any future Dogma stuff that it hurts my heart that they're not, which is, Alan Rickman and George Carlin.
The rules of the road.
It's true. But I believe that, what they're doing in terms of expanding on the story with them in comics without, those guys actually having to, without doing what other people are doing in terms of making them into AI, CGI madness, is a tribute to how much Kevin really respected those guys. So shout out to that.
I mean, I always imagined the way that this worked was after Rickman's character fell off the tower in Die Hard, he was just reborn as the voice of God in the View Askew universe and, lost his genitalia. But
I like that.
Yeah. Alan Rickman's character in Dogma was incomparable. And you had actually brought up something before the show, a really saddening but also wonderful anniversary. It's about to be 10 years since the passing of Alan Rickman.
Yeah, next year will be 10 years. And when I was thinking about this, I got to thinking about Alan Rickman had Dogma and Space Quest come out in the same year in 1999. Or Galaxy Quest.
Galaxy Quest, yeah.
Yeah, come out in the same year in 1999. Yeah.
What was the Great Galaxy Quest line by Something's Hammer?
Oh, I don't remember.
Yeah. Someone in the comments.
You're asking me to remember 1999?
No, it was only 26 years ago. Come on. Oh my God, that was 26 years ago.
Yeah, but I was 11.
Yeah. Oh man, but man, Dogma was a film. I had the pleasure of seeing that in theaters, and I probably watched that DVD more than any other Kevin Smith film. I loved it so much. I love that we're at an era now where people will be able to enjoy Dogma in the modern day as much as I was enjoying it 2 decades ago. And the fact that we are going to get a continuation of the story, which I never in my life would have ever fathomed, not just in film, because Kevin is talking about a sequel to Dogma, but in comic form. I'm excited.
And you think about again, the Metatron in this story is so important as the voice of Alanis Morissette's God.
Yes.
But it's played by Alan Rickman, who got his start as Tybalt in BBC's Shakespeare on TV, and at some point played the Metatron, some point played his character in Space Quest, was Marvin in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, did obviously all of the wonderful Harry Potter stuff, but then played Hilly Crystal in a movie about CBGBs and all of these other really random characters. This was a match made in heaven, and I'm very excited to see what they do with this.
Yeah, and I mean, the fact that it is, as always with this, Kevin Smith writing it. I love that this isn't something he licensed out. This isn't something he just signs off on. He has such a hand in it. He's actually the one scripting each of these Quick Stops issues, which is just awesome because they're like getting a new View Askew movie month after month. I'm glad we've hit 3 volumes of it. If you haven't read these and you're a Kevin Smith fan, you are doing yourself an incredible disservice. Go to your local comic shop. Tell them, I need volume 1 and volume 2 of Quick Stops, and then give me the first 2 issues of this one. And I'm telling you, I need both covers. Not one, but both covers of Quick Stop number 3. The Metatron said so. So absolutely awesome. It's also rare that we ever get to have a Q title in the FOC show, so that's fun as well. Again, a lot of amazing continuing series: Radioactive Spider-Man, Red Book to ROM. Yes, the 3rd omnibus of ROM coming from Marvel. Really quickly, Marvel rushing those out and before Hasbro takes the license back away from them. But one I'm excited about is Something is Killing the Children. Obviously, I keep comparing Marion Heretic to Something is Killing the Children, even though they are very different books. But they're both books that I think Boom is going for the grand slam victory on. As we recently found out in July, Something is Killing the Children is going to go 100 issues. And we're not even at the halfway point as story arc number 9 starts to wrap up with Sick Tick 45. Some great covers available. I think there was one you said was your favorite, right, Kyle?
Yeah, the Boom 20th anniversary variant. The Werther Deladera variant.
Oh, yes. That was beautiful.
That's the one I like. But there's also the 1 in 25, the full art Miyazawa.
Yeah. Yeah, that is amazing. And as always, whenever you see that little star saying incentive variant, you can normally see what the ratio is right there in the title when it comes to Penguin Random House. That is a 1 in 25, meaning your local comic shop has to order 25 regular covers to even qualify to get one of those. So it is worth reaching out to your local comic shop if you're interested in those incentive covers to ask, are you going to be getting this cover and how much is it? Because many comic shops will charge notably more because they are something difficult to obtain, and they're also a high demand commodity that more often than not, the demand far exceeds the supply of. So reach out to your local comic shop if you're interested in an incentive variant and see what they can do for you. I guess we're getting to the holiday season. It is Canadian Thanksgiving this weekend, Halloween coming up this month, American Thanksgiving, and then we get all of the big holidays of Hanukkah to Christmas to Kwanzaa to you name it. It's time for a million holiday-themed comics and variants. And Marvel kicking it off first with Spider-Man Holiday Spectacular. My favorite part of the Spider-Man Holiday. Is it too early? Are you going to be one of those people, or are you going to be the person that says, don't put the Christmas decorations up yet? Come on, Marvel. We haven't even had Halloween yet.
Yes.
All right. But I do love that it is the Spider-Man Holiday Spectacular, and there is an X-Men variant. I had to show that off. I also loved it because, we have the Canadian snowman right there with his, his wooden stick claws. I'd say it's a very accurate depiction of Wolverine. No?
Bah, humbug.
So we move on from the age of revelation to the age of Kyle hating holidays. But nevertheless, I will say, there it is. Yep. I will say this is always an important one to get your orders into your local comic shop for, because holiday books are hard to order on. You do one of two things as a comic retailer. You over order on it and you're now stuck in July of 2026 with excess copies of this, or you under order it and it's December and you're already sold out of the holiday book. So the way that you can help your local retailer as well as your comic book collection is, if you like a holiday book, if you want a one-shot like this, you let us know before we hit final order cutoff. I know, especially for Kyle, it is way too early to be thinking about Christmas or Hanukkah or any of those December holidays, but we have to finalize orders this Monday, October 13th. The book comes out November 19th. So before we even get U.S. Thanksgiving, it's Christmas holiday comics.
Well, and I will say this, both Marvel and DC have done a good job of putting characters and stories in these books that have gone on to matter. You've had first appearances of characters, you've had introductions of new story arcs, you've had introductions of new concepts. Like the concept of what was it, Lobo's daughter first came up in a DC Halloween issue, right? So these things do matter, even if it's still 80 degrees outside and we're having to order it.
Yeah. And that is quite the interesting point on there. But I do love that we're getting yet another Luciano Vecchio holiday special. Luciano is seeming to just be a huge holiday fan, as Vecchio is going to be doing Dread the Halls for 2025. Obviously, the Spider-Man holiday. And I feel we might see more Vecchio holiday-themed books. Another thing I really want to point out, though, about this is that aside from having some amazing covers, it is nice that Marvel is doing the forethought. I know it's early to be thinking holiday books, but this is a guarantee that the book will be available during the holiday season, because we've had past issues where comics release after the holiday. I can't tell you how many Valentine's Day specials have come out after Valentine's Day in my lifetime in comics. So we'll give Marvel a little bit of credit there. For those of you guys who love your sci-fi, Star Trek: The Last Starship issue number 2 on FOC, Voyager issue number 3 on FOC. I will never in my life be a Captain Janeway fan, but that Janeway coffee cover is solid. And then
at least they're leaning into the meme.
Yeah. All sorts of fun Star Wars ones. I had to point out this Hyperspace 3 cover. Not only do I think George Mann is creating a great story in this, but Eduardo Mello's cover here, doing that slight nod to our Empire Strikes Back space slug trying to catch the Millennium Falcon. Now we have an underwater version of it. That's fun. Tell me that's not fun. So you
can't do it.
It's not fun. Yep. Star Wars Jedi Knights continuing on as we finally get the threat that's been hunting down not Obi-Wan Kenobi, but Qui-Gon Jinn. And we get an early Qui-Gon Jinn Count Dooku story back when Master Dooku was Qui-Gon's Jedi Master. So that one is going to be really great. Guggenheim been doing a great job with that. If you're more for Darth Vader era, Masters of Evil is going to be the newest Star Wars novel done by Adam Christopher that is going to take place involving Darth Vader and his legacy. And then when it comes to sci-fi, I have been beyond adoring, and I'm a huge Star Wars fan, Starship Godzilla issue number 2 on FOC. I'm hoping all of you grabbed issue number 1. It is perhaps the best IDW book right now, and there's a lot of great IDW books right now. It's a very golden age of IDW, but this is amazing. My favorite, though, again, a 1-in-25 ratio. Not every store is going to be getting it. But look at that Neon Genesis End of Evangelion movie homage cover. That is great. So
yeah, the Kaisei era stuff is super good right now. If you like Godzilla, don't miss out on it. Even though, like, I complain about more kaijus, less people.
Yeah.
More kaijus, less people, but like this has been phenomenal.
The weird thing I will say that I love about the Kaisei era is everything I hate about Godzilla films. It's exactly what you said. I don't think anyone wants the human story in the giant kaiju film. I don't care about the people that we get to throw away, underneath the foot of Godzilla or, King Ghidorah or any of them. And yet, the Kaisei era has proven me wrong. Three series deep, several issues. These are stories about people living in a Godzilla universe. And yet I have never been more drawn in. Whether it's the action anti-kaiju team of the main Godzilla series, the survivors that are mutated and dealing with radioactive kaiju radiation in the dead zone, or this group of astronauts flying around space in a giant Godzilla starship with some great twists. Oh, I hope everyone read issue number 1 and you haven't even hit the big twist yet. This is fun stuff. But when I say it's a golden age of IDW, there's also another group of green-skinned characters that are rocking it every issue, and they are the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Jason Aaron just wrapped his incredible first year of TMNT with issue 12. And going into issue 13, we have an award-winning author who has actually been an ambassador to reading in the United States of America. The man who brought us Chinese-Born American, Avatar: The Last Airbenders, sequel comics, and so many amazing titles from Superman onward. Gene Luen Yang is taking the helm of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles with issue 13. And if you'd have went back a year ago and told me that, I wouldn't have believed you. Why is Gene Luen Yang writing TMNT? But damn, I am in for this. Freddie Williams, Gene Luen Yang, TMNT, issue 13 is where it starts. This is going to be big. Like, you're a big
thoughts.
fan.
I have big thoughts.
Yeah. I want to hear them.
If someone is going to write a proper Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle story in this day and age, it's Gene Yang. Right? Like, I believe that Gene is a person who has the ability to tell a proper story. That said, I wish Jason Aaron was still going, and I wish they had given Gene Luen Yang his own thing. Because I liked the voice that Jason Aaron was taking.
I do. I 100% would agree with you on that, actually.
I believe that Gene can continue it. Don't get me wrong, but I kind of want to see what, hey, man, tell your own story could do here. That said as well, I think Freddie Williams has done a yeoman's job of drawing the Turtles. I do not know, and I won't know until I read this, if the two styles really match up in my brain.
Yeah.
So I've got some concerns there. But again, I like the idea of Gene Yang writing the Turtles. I like the idea of Freddie drawing the Turtles. I just want to see how they come together.
Yeah. Yeah. Freddie's turtle art has always been phenomenal, but you're right. I'm curious how that'll mesh with Gene's writing. But when we're talking about other artists, though, that do it, there are some amazing covers on this. Speaking of early Christmas stuff, as TMNT 13 hits out December 10th, there is a Christmas-themed variant with the Turtles by Jared Cullum. But we're getting Daniel Warren Johnson, of course, Kevin Eastman, and, Ben Bishop. Why would they not? Clayton Crane, Dustin Nguyen, David Nakayama, a lot of great covers. My favorite thing, though, if you don't know what cover to choose, you're going to want to order the blind bag. I had the chance to talk with Ryan Balcom, who's the head of sales over at IDW, about these blind bags, because I'm going to be 100% honest. Well, it seems like all retailers did great with their Batman and DC KO blind bags. I feel DC and many other publishers are missing the understanding of what made blind bags so successful with Invincible Battle Beast, and will be undoubtedly very successful next week with Mark Spears Monsters. And I believe that the guys at IDW nailed it. Buying this blind bag for just $5, you can get any of the covers you might normally get. You can get rare incentive covers. You can get unique covers. There are special things in these blind bags, and it's $5, not $10, not $20. It's not just a foil version of something. There's a chance of winning big. You're getting your gambling addiction fed there, on the potential to get a high ratio or specialty item. You're getting the point where you don't feel like I spent $10 on a book and I just got a cover I could have otherwise ordered normally for $6. Sorry, DC, but that's what you did there. This is the way to do blind bags. $5 entry, chance to win big, but there's really no room to lose. I'm personally advising a lot of my customers at my shop, if you don't have a specific cover you want, just go for the blind bag. You cannot lose on the blind bag. It's the same price as the A cover. So
I ordered all the covers, plus I ordered an amount of blind bags to cover what I had to get to jump up to the incentives. So, like, let's be real. I played a big game on this book, but I think a lot of publishers are missing the point of the blind bag. Like you said, and you see people now doing $20 blind bags where you get 3 copies of the same book, or blind bags where all they have are ratios, or blind bags where they don't have any ratios, and it's like, you guys are missing the point. I feel this bubble is going to burst on the blind bags very soon because so many people are missing the point.
Yeah.
But this Turtles one is a good opportunity to not have that be a problem.
Absolutely. And hopefully they learn. I mean, I really feel it's there's a lot of comic people making, blind bag decisions that have never opened a pack of cards.
Right.
But to speak to the Pokemon and Magic crowd, look, if you just are looking for, a basic card, it is cheaper to buy that single from your local game store than it is to try your luck in pulling it out of a booster pack. The reason why booster packs in card games are great is the chance of opening that super expensive card you can't afford to buy as a single. The chance of getting some rare variation, some foil or showcase or textured,
In the old day, it was full art lands in Magic the Gathering.
Yeah. And, that's what we want. It's the gamble of not what cover am I going to get, but what big thing can I win? I got really lucky with Invincible Battle Beast. I opened a 1 in 100, variant in a $5 blind bag. I was ecstatic. I own a comic shop. I could have just grabbed a 1 in 100 off the wall, but I was still ecstatic to have that moment. It made me so happy. This is where you have that potential to do that again. Whereas, I really hate to say it, with the Batman ones, I opened a Batman blind bag. I appreciated what I got, but it was a foil cover that I could have bought outright as a foil cover for a few dollars cheaper, and it wasn't the wraparound, that buying it outright would have been. So it's just like, it felt like a loss. I'm like, wow, not only did I lose $2, I lost half the image, and, it wasn't exciting. There was no gamble. There was no risk and reward. So
right.
TMNT 13, Ryan Balcom, staff at IDW, you did it right, just as the folks at Skybound did, and I think Mark Spears will have nailed next week over at Keenspot. So let's wrap up PRH with, there's a lot more Turtles love.
By the way, that Casey Jones story that's coming out right now has been really good. If you like Casey Jones and you wanted a little bit more Casey Jones love, jump in on that one.
Yeah. And there's a lot of fun to be had there for Turtles. There's Casey Jones. There's the Saturday Morning Adventures. There's even the Shredder one, which I have been adoring the Shredder storyline also.
Mm-hmm.
So, lots of fun there.
Yeah, that week is going to be very expensive for me.
Thankfully, I want to point out, those are spread out. So TMNT 13 hits out December 10th. Casey Jones is the 19th. Saturday Morning Adventures is the 26th, as is Shredder. So it's not going to be super painful. It's a big order week for FOC, but it's a spread out shipment release for the fall. Going to the Age of Revelation, let's talk about Unbreakable X-Men for a second. Gail Simone's replacement for Uncanny X-Men. We're going to deal with the zombie apocalypse in Atlantis. That's all you had to tell me. I'm in. Namor fighting underwater zombies. I'm in. Good. Great job, Gail. Venom fans, we're going to have a major costume change with Venom. Kind of like we did in the story that created Venom back in Amazing Spider-Man 252. We had Spider-Man go from his red and blue to the black suit that was the Venom symbiote before we called him Venom. Now we're hitting Venom number 252. You can see the homage there to Amazing Spider-Man 252. This is going to be Venom getting a red, black, and blue costume. How is this costume change going to affect the storyline and readership? Is it going to affect Mary Jane's powers? I don't know, but it's going to affect my sales because I want this cover. I want this issue. And we get an anniversary of 252 with a celebratory flashback story by the team behind ASM 252. That is Tom DeFalco and Ron Friends. So everything about this has me excited. There are more covers than just the homage to 252, because when we think about this, some people are going to be like, whoa, whoa, whoa. The Black Symbiote first appeared in Secret Wars number 8. Don't worry, there's an homage to that too. So lots of fun to be had there. I think that people are going to go big on this, because why wouldn't you if it's something Venom related? Then let's wrap up some X-Men stuff with the return to Apocalypse. Well, the Age of Revelation is happening. We also realize that's during the anniversary, the 30th anniversary of the Age of Apocalypse. So Jeff Loeb is back in the Age of Apocalypse with Simone DeMeo on this new miniseries. It's guaranteed to be good, but look at that jaw-dropping art germ cover with Rogue. This will be a fun one. However, if you don't want to have the nostalgia of the Age of Apocalypse, you want to stick with the Age of Revelation. X-Men Book of Revelation number 2 is also on FOC this week, and I had to show off this cover with perhaps one of the hottest characters to come out of Marvel Rivals. Everyone's eyes are on Luna Snow, Jeff the Landshark, and Magic. Ileana Rasputin gets her Inhyuk Lee Streetverse variant on this. I have this feeling that legitimately X-Men Book of Revelation number 2 will outsell X-Men Book of Revelation number 1 because of this cover. So definitely get your orders in. Now, that said, we've talked about all the great PRH ones. Let's pop over to Lunar. It's a bit of a smaller week on Lunar FOC, but remember, make sure you're on October 13th when you scroll down from lunardistribution.com, and we'll look over a lot of these great books. One odd error I need to point out. I hope this is a just this week issue, but on this week's FOC on Lunar, the books that don't have covers uploaded by publishers, looking towards you, DC and Image, are not showing on the upcoming FOC. So there is an Absolute Flash and Green Lantern second printing on FOC this week. Their covers are not turned in yet, and they're not showing on here. There are ratio variants Rob Liefeld has not submitted yet to Image for Youngblood. They're not showing. There are covers. There's a number of beautiful covers, I'm sure, by Elizabeth Torque, Nathan Zerdy, and others on the new Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy miniseries that Erica Henderson's doing. The covers have not yet been uploaded, and they are not showing. So I don't have an answer for how some of you who use Lunar Distribution to get this information can place those orders with your store, other than directly talking with your store. This is a problem. I will be bringing it up with Lunar. I will be bringing it up with the publishers involved if they're not already listening to this live stream. Hopefully that is not a problem that will persist, but it is a problem that exists this week. Something to keep in mind for those of you guys watching and taking note and letting your shops know. It might be worth reaching out to them on some of the titles. I will try and bring them all up to see if covers get uploaded later this weekend, if perhaps things get pushed to another week of FOC, or otherwise you just have to try your best to order completely blind, not only without the cover image, but without the cover information. That is always where your local comic shop and its wonderful staff likely can help you. So with that all said, heavy bit of information there. Absolute Green Lantern continues on with the origin of our new Green Lantern in issue number 8. Absolute Superman hits its second year with issue 13. We have some great adventure time as we wrap up this story arc with the Lich King. And we get a second printing of the Bubble Lane College Special. I think that this Marceline and Princess Bubblegum crossover was amazing. If you missed out on it, get those orders in on the second printing with a brand new cover. You guys heard us interview Philip Kennedy Johnson about a week ago about Adventures of Superman, Book of L. I'm hoping you guys all read issue number 1 and issue number 2, got the big reveal of who that old man was. You're going to want to grab issue number 3. The story only gets better. Archie fans, well, we're all super excited for an upcoming Disney Plus Afterlife with Archie. Sabrina is still fresh in all of our memory, whether it's going back to Melissa Joan Hart or the Chilling Adventures on Netflix. Now's your chance to get a very expensive and hard to find book at a very affordable price. They're doing facsimile editions of Sabrina the Teenage Witch number 1. Yes, the first solo issue of Sabrina. Really, really cool way to grab that. There is a B cover. I believe this is not going to be black and white when it's done. They just have not uploaded a color version of the image to Lunar yet. And it's also clearly misunderstanding the idea of a facsimile edition, because I'm going to do this right here. You ready for this? Google facsimile. What is it? It's an exact copy. An exact copy. And therefore, a variant makes it not a facsimile. It just makes it a reprint. Personally, I'm all for that. I think we should just give in to reprints. I like the idea of new artists getting work, doing new covers, because Andy Price did a great job on that. But not a facsimile at this point, right?
Did you ever hear the story of how Melissa Joan Hart got the Sabrina job?
No, I didn't.
Melissa Joan Hart was coming off of Clarissa Explains It All, and her mom bought the rights to Sabrina the Teenage Witch for television for $1 and developed it. Yeah, because nobody wanted them. And then developed the script and developed the whole thing and took it and sold it to ABC for a boatload of money. And it wound up being one of the most popular shows on television for a number of years. They just had a reunion. All the remaining members of the cast.
That's actually really cool. Was that like at a convention, or was that like a film thing?
I saw a picture on Instagram.
All right. Well, there you go. Continuing on with amazing things, Assorted Crisis Events hits issue number 6, the big wrap up there. But I want to talk about a trade paperback. I have a feeling I know the answer in this, but Kyle, have you ever read Astounding Wolfman?
I have not read this one.
But you're a fan of Invincible, right?
No, not really.
Really? Oh, you're not a fan of Invincible. Well, we're going to ignore that and pretend like you are. If you're a fan of Invincible and you have not read Astounding Wolfman, you are probably not alone. But I hope that we can change that for many of you. Astounding
This is the
Wolfman,
character I like out of Invincible, by the way.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm excited for.
Yeah. Astounding Wolfman is set in the Invincible universe. He has had crossovers. He plays a major role in there. This is an unbelievable deal. You're going to get all 25 issues of Astounding Wolfman plus the Invincible 57 crossover for $39.99. That is like $1.50 an issue. A steal of a deal, all written by Robert Kirkman. You have incredible artists like Jason Howard, Cliff Rathburn, and more. And if you're dying for more Invincible, this is basically where it is. This is a unbelievable way to read it, an unbelievably affordable way to track it all down. I cannot stress enough. This is a must for Invincible fans, because I am relatively certain we will see the Astounding Wolfman in the Invincible cartoon if we haven't already. I am not watching the cartoon. I wish I could say I was. I just need to sit down and do it. But as a huge Invincible fan, I know I came into Astounding Wolfman. I mean, I got the free comic book day issue when it came out, but I don't think I started reading it until around issue 10 or 11. And it was a very difficult thing to go track down those single issues back then to catch up. Worth every bit of comic shop back issue bin diving. I love that series. And I think if you're a fan of Invincible, you need it as a completionist. And just in an era where there were unfortunately only 144 issues of Invincible, a few miniseries. I guess there's that Battle Beast spinoff currently happening right now. None of that is enough. We need more, and this is it.
Well, and just as a shout out, this is one of the values of Free Comic Book Day, right? Because that's where I discovered Wolfman as well, was Free Comic Book Day. And, we had the big news this week about, kind of Free Comic Book Day has been saved. So we're still waiting to see how that's going to play out. But there was some big news about Free Comic Book Day this week. So,
is that just public news yet?
Yeah.
Okay, so we say Universal has bought that?
Yes, it hit all the wires.
All right, so Universal Distribution, new owner of Free Comic Book Day.
Right, for sure. But again, that's the value of a thing like Free Comic Book Day, is sometimes you pick up a free book and you find a character that you wouldn't have found otherwise because they're part of a series you're not reading, or they're not generally something you would be into, and then you find you're like, oh, this is dope. Okay, I'm in.
Absolutely. So here's one I feel I shouldn't have to explain to people. Batman #3 is on FOC. And Batman #1 sold out. Batman #2 sold out. Like, I feel that Batman shouldn't be a book that sells out, but clearly not enough people are getting their orders into comic shops and letting them know, I need Matt Fraction, Jorge Jimenez's unbelievable Batman series. So if you have not yet subscribed at your local comic shop, let them know. This is amazing. Issue after issue is hit after hit. I am getting more subscriptions at my shop to this run of Batman than I had with Jim Lee and Jeff Loeb's Hush 2. So it's crazy that I'm selling out.
It's better.
I'm ordering more copies than I did of Hush 2, and yet we're selling out because people are diving on this series. So don't be the person who gets to the comic shop late and misses out on your copy. Let them know you want it now. Now, this is a really cool facsimile because I think a lot of people are going to miss out on this. I'm going to talk about it. Batman 47. All right, Kyle, let's do a quick quiz. Why is Batman 47 a key issue? All right. So let me ask you this.
I'm trying not to cough into the microphone while thinking about this.
Okay.
Is it the first Bob Kane cover?
No, it is not. But Len, let me point out this one to you. What is the name of the man who killed Bruce Wayne's parents?
Which one? Matches Malone?
No, Matches Malone didn't do that. That's Bruce Wayne's alternate identity with the mustache.
Depending on which universe you're reading.
Okay. But no, the man who originally killed Bruce Wayne's parents was correct. Joe Chill.
There you go. Sorry. Dude,
And the first time you ever get Joe Chill's name was in Batman 47, Batman versus Joe Chill. So redoing the origin of Bruce Wayne and giving us that big key moment. This is a classic issue. For ages, was one of the more affordable Golden Age key issues because I don't believe it was considered a key. Now, an astronomically expensive issue, and you can get an awesome facsimile of it. So that will be an exciting one. I also love these covers. I don't believe this is the first cover we've had of ink, but it's the first cover I can remember of ink on Birds of Prey. The classic Batman Beyond villainess that reappeared in Birds of Prey, or rather first appeared in her current incantation in Birds of Prey issue number 20, now gets a really great series of cover appearances as she joins up with the BOP. 3 great covers. So this could arguably, don't quote me on it, could arguably be first cover appearance, but one way or another, it's beautiful cover appearances of ink.
I think ink is a really cool concept for a villain.
Yeah. So another one, especially with Kyle being in Maryland right now, we got to talk Rodney Barnes' new Image comic series, Oni comic series, Crownsville. So are you familiar with what Crownsville is, like the actual Crownsville?
A little bit. Not being from here originally, like it's one of those things that you learn about, right? But yeah, it was a neighborhood. So yeah. I don't know the neighborhood particularly, but I know where it's at.
Yeah. So Crownsville, specifically in the reference to this, was a psych ward that was founded in 1904, or I want to say 1904. I know it was finally shut down in 2004, but it was particularly a psych ward that was massively segregated and mainly, if not exclusively, had Black African-American patients. And in the time period it existed, and unfortunately with too many organizations looking the other way, disgustingly horrific things happened to the people who were in that psychiatric ward. Thankfully, it was shut down, but Rodney Barnes is going to shed new light on it with a murder mystery, true crime, paranormal horror, as a body is recently found after the building has been closed off, and a police detective of Annapolis goes in to discover what happened and the dark, twisted legacy going back a century of Crownsville Penitentiary, or Crownsville Asylum, I suppose. But one way or another,
hospital.
this is going to be a hospital, excuse me. this is going to be a dark story. I feel this has the potential to be up there with that opening sequence of the HBO Watchmen series that opened people's eyes to the Tulsa race riots. This is going to be dark. It is going to be eye-opening. It is going to be frightening, and it is going to be 10 times more frightening because there's probably more truth in it than we want to know. So definitely worth a bit of an attention for horror fans, for true crime fans. This will be a big one. For $5, your opening issue is going to be a 48-page special for a 5-issue miniseries. And if you've ever read anything from Rodney Barnes, you know that man knows how to write. This is going to be a big one.
I will try while I'm still here to run down there and show you what it is now. It is a memorial park now. It's being redeveloped by the county as like a memorial to all the people who were there. But I will try to run down there and show you what it looks like now. Get a picture and post it up on social media.
And that sounds interesting. Yeah, I definitely look forward to seeing that. And I'm sure some of the other viewers will too. All right. The one that I think is perhaps the biggest thing on FOC this week. DCKO Night Fight. Not a knife fight, it's a night fight. The Dark Knight himself. I got to avoid spoilers on this, but for those of you guys who picked up DCKO, you know something happened with Batman, and this is his chance to recover. If Batman wants to stay in the tournament, he needs to survive battling the Batman of the future. This is Joshua Williamson. It is Dan Mora. You have one of the best writers and the best artists in comics. 4-issue miniseries of Batman versus Batmans. And it's going to open up with Bruce versus a future where Jason Todd, of all people, is Batman. It is awesome. It is action-packed. I mean, it just... the creative team alone should sell it. The concept should sell it. This is going to be phenomenal. 4-issue miniseries tying directly into DCKO, but it's a standalone. You don't need to be reading DCKO. You should be, but you don't need to be. This is going to be epic. The end. That's all I'm saying. We have a lot of great continuing series. One that I have to point out because I swear it needs a better editor is Do Women Need Sex Entertainment? Where, you know, clearly the cover title could have had some font choices that were different there. And the title really loves pointing out that this is a coming-of-age manga because it is a heartwarming coming-of-age manga and a charming coming-of-age manga. And they find a way to just say coming-of-age every chance they can in the solicitation. But it is an interesting and fun story of a young woman trying to survive in the business world while also seeing the slice of life reality of what her romantic life is like as well. I've read the volume originally, and I'm excited to see Titan taking it on to bring it to a wider audience in the U.S. I think it'll be a fun one. But with a lot of wonderful continuing series going on at Lunar, I'm just going to spotlight very quickly some, such as the EC Artist Library Edition coming from Fantagraphics. It is a beautiful slipcase that is a best of 1950s EC stuff. Perfect for the fans who are grabbing things like EC's Cruel Universe, continuing on with issue number 2 on FOC this week. We have a lot of delightful continuing series like Gargoyles, Demona. We have the new story arc of G.I. Joe issue 13 as it switches over to a bi-weekly release schedule for the Dreadnought War. Those not remembering, the Dreadnoughts were that evil mercenary group that Cobra often hired, and they're going after Cobra Commander, leading him to team up with Duke, of all people, in this really weird buddy run for the hills style Mad Max-esque issue. Tell me that isn't a Mad Max Tom Riley cover. But G.I. Joe, definitely be fun. Definitely pay attention because a switch to bi-weekly is going to mean you're going to get pounded with G.I. Joe over the next few months for this story arc. Green Lantern fans, the compendium gives you the reading order of the modern Green Lantern, everything from Green Lantern Rebirth right up until the Sinestro Corps War. You're going to get the Rand Thanagar War stuff. You're going to get the Ion miniseries. You're going to get the Green Lantern Corps Recharge, which was the rebirth for the Green Lantern Corps. Basically, everything in this volume for $60 gets you from the start of Rebirth right up to the Sinestro Corps War, which means Compendium 2 is where my attention will be, but nevertheless great. Harley and Ivy, Life and Crimes. It's a flashback to the very first beginnings of Harley Quinn and Ivy's romance. This is the start of their relationship that would shape and develop the characters to our modern interpretation and love of them. It is going to be a 6-issue miniseries. Annoyingly, like I said, Lunar only has cover 1A on their FOC, but there are covers by Nathan Zerdy. In fact, there's a foil and non-foil. There's Elizabeth Torque, and there are additional other covers. You're going to have to reach out to your local comic shop. I wish I had a way to develop or show more to you. We will be discussing this with the publishers and with Lunar. Let's see, what other fun things? A lot of great continuing series that you should look through there. Penultimate issue of Look Into My Eyes. Reprints of Mark Spears' Monsters, perfectly timed. I wish that we would have had the prequel issue on the 8th as opposed to this coming Wednesday on the 15th. But if you think you might be interested, let your local comic shop know to restock issues number 1 and number 4 of Mark Spears' Monsters. Another one really worth a moment is Mickey Mouse, The Phantom Blots, Double Revenge. This is going to reprint old 1940s and 1990s and early 2000 Mickey Mouse comics, sometimes for the first time in English. But for $6, this is a great one-shot full of awesome stories with a classic character from 1933 being revived. So there is a Disney must-have for some of you fans who likely do not remember the 1933 Phantom Blot. Have to point out that beautiful propaganda poster on Never Wars number 6 with Hook. Some amazing covers on Poison Ivy and Robot Girl. We talked with the incredible Jason Fabok about Rook Exodus, and there are the beautiful covers you can grab on issue number 8. Savage Sword of Conan. It's Liam Sharp doing his big story we've all been dying and waiting for, along with Ron Mars and Danny Earls coming back for more Robert E. Howard fun. Smurfs doing a holiday special just to, egg Kyle on a little bit more about Christmas in October. Speed Racers, Spawn, Stake, and more. Another big one for you Invincible fans. Invincible first starting out in Tech Jacket. Tech Jacket plays a huge, huge role in the Viltrumite War. Hopefully he will be in the anime series for that. But as such, another great one. $40, you get both Tech Jacket on or miniseries / maxi series and Tech Jacket Digital, which I believe, don't quote me on it, but I believe was the backups from the Viltrumite War that Aubrey Sitterson and E.J. Sue did. But I love this character as well. He's the Iron Man of the Invincible universe, if you ask me. Maybe Iron Man meets Green Lantern, but definitely worth grabbing once again for you Invincible completists or people who want more. We have TMNT, Thundercats Lost, brand new issue right there. And if you're liking Pumera, you can get her in a new miniseries. The new miniseries of Pumera. Sorry, I have somebody from Ghost Machine calling me on my phone there. Thundercats Pumera is a new miniseries featuring one of the sadly most underrated characters of Thundercats. Pumera is going to get a new miniseries tying in with Thundercats Lost by the incredible same writer, Ed Brisson, meaning you're going to get all sorts of more fun with that. I apologize. That phone call really threw me off. Phone calls during the live stream, never a good thing to take. We have a lot of great books there, but let's end it with the big one. Rob Liefeld's Youngblood, coming back to stores and stands. It's Rob Liefeld. It comes polybagged with a collectible card. There's variants. Need I say more? 90s fanatics, this is your chance. Dive back in. We'll see how Rob takes it this time. A lot of crazy covers, a lot of great variants. A lot to be said there. But when we're talking about crazy covers, and hot books, I think it's time, as we're coming up towards the end of our show, to talk about our top 10. So, and to screen and started off with our honorable mention. Has to be Astounding Wolfman Compendium. I talked it up already, but I have to emphasize, if you're a fan of Invincible, you need this book. $40 could not be better spent. You're ordering one, right, Kyle?
I am, but I just had to hang up on the person from Ghost Machine who called you.
Oh, whoops. So we'll call her back, soon. So let's get to the top 10. Number 10, starting off, Stake Presents Jessamy. Number 2. Honestly, fun, classic vampire story about the vampire that has to kill humans to keep vampires a secret. Beautiful, beautiful cover by Kiss Kiss. The cover for number 1, the local comic shop day sketch version and everything have been high demand, beloved pieces. This continues it. Then, I know you're not a fan of it, but man, AF-15 homage with Andy's favorite toy. Yes, Woody and the Claw aliens for a Toy Story homage. I think
my problem is I thought we were finally getting a Toy Story comic book.
Yeah, no.
I was excited for that. But
yeah,
no,
we'd have to go back like 10
Spider-Man.
years to Boom Studios for that.
Well, I wanted one from Marvel.
Yeah. Well, you'd have to go back 30 years almost for that. Oof.
That's true.
Scotty Young covering number 8 with a Youngblood cover that has the cast of Youngblood making fun of Scotty Young, and his name is the biggest thing on there. I think that's my favorite part about this is Scotty's name is bigger than Rob's, bigger than Youngblood's title. I want it just for that. But always Scotty Young baby variants will always be a big demand driver, and this is going to be one that I think will drive demand to people who have never even heard of Youngblood. Next up, when we're talking incredible Dogma covers, nothing beats a stained glass window of Alan Rickman, let alone Buddy Christ. I really want this as a stained glass window. I will go break a window in this house, and my wife is going to run down here and murder me for stating that. I will break a window in this house right now if I can replace it with a stained glass of this image.
I don't know. I've met your wife. She might dig it.
Yeah. Eric Pfluger did a phenomenal job on this. All right, number 6, another one I have to emphasize because not only for those of you guys who might have a young child, or my wife is going to murder me about breaking a window. If you have a young child in your life, if you are a fan of the Percy Jackson series, if you are a comic retailer who doesn't stock this but has younger readers, this is a must stock. Percy Jackson and the Olympians, The Sea Monsters is a great graphic novel. It is very much a perfect addition to anyone who's enjoying the TV series on Disney+. Got to grab it. All right, under the top 5, Savage Sword of Conan, number 11. It's been over a month, I think, since we had Liam Sharp on the show, but the artwork exists on his Substack, on his social media. Take a look. Your jaw will be difficult to lift off the ground, but once you do, use it to call in an order to your local comic shop because Savage Sword of Conan, number 11, is a magnum opus of Liam Sharp work. Then X-Men of Apocalypse, number 1. Not only am I excited for Jeff Loeb to be taking on the Age of Apocalypse again, a return to that universe, Fan Yang's cover of Blink is amazing. Look, I love the Art Germ Road cover, but when I think Age of Apocalypse, I think of Blink. And this cover, that is a spirit of 30 years ago. Number 3, it's the classified cover of One World Under Doom, number 9. Kevin Wada doing it. Kevin doesn't do enough work. I'll just say that outright. But I can only imagine why this cover has to be classified. What big reveal from the finale. I can't talk today. From the finale of One World Doom will this be? Is it going to be the new Sorcerer Supreme? Could it be the fate of Doctor Doom? Could it be a first appearance of a new character? Who knows? All I know is that it will be under-ordered. And if you like Kevin Wada's artwork, if you want to take a gamble on what could be the next big thing, this is, I feel, the cover to do it with. Good old John Boy Myers, wonderful friend, an amazing artist, doing this DCKO Night Fight. So hard not to say knife fight. Night Fight cover of Batman. Again, big book. This is going to be huge. I guarantee you this is another one that just sells out. Stores don't order enough of it, and people want it because this is going to be a fun miniseries. So what could be the number one? What could beat that? Well, the question is, what could be in this amazing blind bag? IDW nailing the concept of how to do a blind bag right. Once again, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 13. It is a $5 blind bag. It can be any of the covers, an open order cover, a ratio cover, something exclusive to the blind bag, something special. It could even be a boat. Who knows? It is the mystery of the blind bag. So that has to nail it. Number one, a huge shout out to IDW for doing that right. A huge shout out to Gene Luen Yang, who I cannot wait to read his Turtles. And, you know, here's for the fun of good luck. May the odds be in your favor on you getting one of the coolest covers possible in your blind bag. Now, with that said, we have a full array of amazing shows on the EXP this weekend. Kyle, can you tell us a little bit about what is coming up?
Well, tonight Nick is at New York Comic Con, so we have we have a fill-in on. Oop, that was weird. I don't know why that. But we have a fill-in tonight on the art show, Matt Kennedy, and then some Nancy McCann follows up later tonight with Comics Unlimited, Friday Night Live from Comics Unlimited. Then on Monday we have our regular slate of shows. Same with Tuesday. But on Wednesday, we have a new show that debuted last week called The Hump Day Heroes, live from Past, Present, and Future Comics in Florida. Then on Thursday, we will obviously have What's in the Box with Miss Jen, but the Geek Chat is off. However, we may have a special extended sketch-up with Mel and Mog live from Kyle's Kitchen, which is Mel and Mog will be in town for Baltimore Comic-Con, and we have invited some of our artist friends over to the house for dinner and drawing and hang out and sketch up live. So stay tuned for announcements about that. Then later this week, fingers crossed, if I could cross my fingers, I would, but fingers crossed, you will see a big announcement from myself and one of the top retailers in the country making an announcement about an announcement that there will be an announcement at some point we'll be announcing. So
now poorly.
Be on the lookout for that. But I will be at Baltimore Comic-Con. If you're at Baltimore Comic-Con next weekend, come find me.
All right. You can track him down. He's the one with the beard.
Yeah, Jay will likely be here next Friday because I will be there. So
sounds good. All right. Well, I thank you guys all for watching. I think that might be the record for the longest interview we've had with one of the guests on this show. We had a lot of fun books to talk about, and I hope all of you are going to reach out to your local comic shop before Monday, October 13th, and get your orders in for some incredible books on Final Order Cutoff this week. So with that said, we'll be back next Friday. I'll be back next Friday with Jay. And thank you all. Support your local comic shop, as Kyle has it on this shirt.